Student Success. This is your video for week 4, which runs from September 21st through September 27th. And after this week, you will be halfway done with the course. So hopefully that is some positive news and uplifting to hopefully get you through the next several weeks. So let's jump in. As I mentioned, we're in week 4, so I'm going to click in here. And week 4 actually covers a lot of content. It's over chapters 5, 7, and 8. So I have the PowerPoints open for 5 and 7. So just kind of go through them here real quickly. Chapter 5, this is talking about reading. You should approach reading a little differently than you did perhaps in high school, or if you're in high school, approaching it differently than you do even for your high school classes. And so for a lot of your college courses, you should expect most of your homework to revolve around reading. And it's the primary way. A lot of different organizations have done research on this, and up to 85% of what we learn in college is through reading about ideas and materials. So we need to be aware of that process and how to improve it. And so you want to do things that are going to make you active in your reading, meaning, if you know that you're going to cover chapter 3 in class this coming week, you want to read it before class, reread it if necessary, chunk it, look at, taking notes, highlighting, looking at key ideas, and reviewing. And there's lots of different theories about how to best approach, each of these steps. So when you prepare to read, give yourself a purpose. Maybe the instructor already gave you a purpose, like, hey, you're going to have a quiz. Or if they didn't give you a purpose, set your own purpose. By the time I read this chapter, I want to be able to define 10 key words. Or you can look at the titles and subtitles and turn those into questions, and your purpose can be to answer those questions. You also want to preview, look through and see what are the graphics, what are the bold-faced words, kind of what is this about in general. So you also will look to see, how does this relate to what's going on with you in the course, and what are you trying to get out of the reading? Are you just trying to have a discussion? Are you going to be assessed over it? So that goes back to that setting that purpose. When you actually do reading, use the headings and subheadings. They're going to help guide you through the reading. Think about your prior knowledge. What do you already know about the topic? If you don't know anything, maybe just doing a quick Google search or looking at the table of contents and try to kind of get some baseline understanding, so make it a little easier as you go. So when you are reading, you want to highlight, take notes, underline, whatever approach you used, but not while you're actually reading. I know that sounds kind of strange, but say you have chapter 1, chunk it into sections. Read your first section with no notes, no highlighting, no underlining. Read that first section and then go back and highlight, underline, annotate, take notes, whatever it might be. Because sometimes while we read, we think everything's important. I don't know if you've ever highlighted and you walk away and you see, 25% or more of your page, like a whole page is highlighted. Well, that's not very effective. So you want to be able to read a section, then have perspective at what was actually important. So then you go back and highlight or take notes. So that slide goes over some tips there. You want to capture some main or key ideas. That can be through different highlighting techniques, through flashcards, through different kind of note models. And then you want to spend time reviewing. So often we leave this part off. We read and we say, okay, I'm done. But then we forget, okay, well, to move this into our long-term memory, we need to go back and review and plug in any gaps, put things into our own words, think about how these ideas connect to what's going on in class, what happened in a previous chapter, answer end of the chapter questions. So spend some time really reviewing and working with that material. So that is chapter 5. Now, chapter 7, this goes into talking about kind of class participation, being involved with the class. So you want to make sure that you are, taking on the responsibility of learning, but also understanding what that responsibility means. So you need to make sure that you're being in class. And obviously a lot of this applies to in-person classes, but this is also online classes. You still have attendance dates, making sure that you are engaging in the class, whether that means asking questions, answering questions, taking notes, sending emails, responding in discussion forums. So making sure that you're attending and engaging. And then the chapter also talks about, what if you have to miss a class? What are some steps that you have to go through? Participating in class, that's going to look different for everyone. I've been teaching for quite a while now, so I know that participating doesn't always necessarily mean someone is raising their hand and asking and answering questions. It can also mean their body language. It can also mean how they're showing me they're engaged. So there are different ways to show participating. Same with online, sending emails, calling and leaving voicemails, engaging with different discussion posts. So all of those are also ways of participating with a class. Asking questions, so there's also some tips on making sure that you are asking questions, and it's always better to ask a question rather than thinking it's a silly question or going without, because it's really important. That's how we learn. That's how we grow in the subject area. Communicating with instructors, making sure that you are coming across very professional, especially in online classes, because unfortunately, that's the only way we have to know you is through most of the time your writing, how you communicate with us. So make sure that you're using appropriate and your best communication skills as you are communicating, especially online. And then overcoming anxiety. We know that being in a classroom setting sometimes can be really nerve-inducing. So making sure that you reduce your anxiety by preparing and practicing and just knowing what's going on in the class. And then this chapter also talks a little bit about presentations, how to prepare for presentations, how to plan and organize those. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and click, I got those from the materials area there, the chapter 5 slides, the chapter 7 slides. The chapter 8 slides, what the class coordinator did for this is she plugged in this document, and it goes through kind of different parts of the writing process, because chapter 8 is about the writing process and how to approach different types of writing. So you are welcome to kind of look through that as well. Now the actual chapters, of course, when you open up your textbook, here's chapter 5. So it's going to go into more depth with the different areas of, in the chapter 5's case, reading. Chapter 7's case, interacting with instructors in class in general, like participating, public speaking, and then our chapter 8, our writing chapter. So how to become a better writer, different ways to approach the writing process, how to make sure you're writing in an appropriate college manner fashion. So those are the chapters that you'll take a look at with this particular week. All right, so let's get into your assignments. You'll see you have 3 assignments. You have a discussion forum that will be due by Wednesday for your week 4 attendance points, and then make sure you respond to 2 classmates by Sunday. I am seeing some people forgetting to go back and respond to classmates, so just make sure that you remember to revisit. You have a chapter 5 assignment and then an online learning survey assignment. So I'm going to scroll down and get into the assignment folder. Here's our discussion forum. So you're going to see this looks familiar from a previous discussion forum. It's set up in a very similar fashion. You'll have 4 topics and you're responding to all 4, and you'll see that there's kind of 2 sentences started for each. You just kind of complete the sentences. So it's going to talk about writing, sentence level mechanics, the writing process, and then seeking help. So this is all your writing connected topics. So here's again an example of how to set it up. And then when you're ready, just click in the forum, create thread, and there it is. So make sure you're responding to all 4 topics, 2 sentences in each particular topic. That is your discussion forum. Again, please make sure that you respond your original post by Wednesday for week 4 attendance, and then respond to 2 classmates by Sunday. Okay, chapter 5 assignment, you're going to see this is reminiscent of a previous assignment as well. This time though, it's with chapter 5 topics. Reading comprehension, reading speed, reading vocabulary. So look at each of those components of reading, and then what can you do to improve your reading comprehension? So 2 things you can do, and this is where you might have to go back into the PowerPoint or into the chapter itself and look to see what do they talk about each of these. How do they tell me I should, what should I do to improve? When should you expect to take the action? Well, it might just be as simple as the next time you read or the next time you're in class. How will you know you've accomplished that? When you build a larger vocabulary, when you're able to recall what you've read, how will you know that you've accomplished each of those actions? So that is chapter 5. So remember, you're going to save that. The document's right there. You'll go in, browse your computer, and submit it that way. Okay, the last thing you're doing is your online learning right for you. So you'll see there's a little link right here. Take this short survey, click it, going to open up here and it's going to walk you through this survey. You're going to answer the questions, hit submit, and you're going to get a result. I cannot see that. So that's where this comes in. After you complete the survey, click in here, tell me what your score was and do you agree or not? So down here, or in this right submission, I got a 24. I think this is accurate or not accurate because. So that's what you're going to do there. So whatever your score is, and then why you think it's true, not true of you as it relates to online learning. Okay. All right, so those are your assignments for this week. Your discussion forum, post your original response by Wednesday for week 4 attendance, respond to 2 classmates by Sunday. Chapter 5 assignment where you're talking about your ways to improve your reading. And then the online learning, take the survey first, and then in the Dropbox area, either under submission or down here, tell me what your score was and whether you believe it or why not. Like, why is online learning a good fit for you or not? Okay. All right, if you have any questions, please let me know. I hope you have a great week.